Welcome to the Salt Strong Fishing Podcast. Salt Strong has been helping saltwater anglers catch more fish in less time for 10 years and is now the largest and most trusted saltwater fishing community in America. If you want to catch more saltwater fish, then keep listening. If you want to speed up your fish catching results even faster, then join the private insider community at saltstrong.com. Here's your host, Joe Simons. Like diamonds.
All good will be attacked. Hey everybody, Joe Simons, like diamonds, back again with Salt Strong UNCHURCHED. All good will be attacked. Do you believe that? What does it even mean? Am I saying that everything good is going to be attacked? I don't know, maybe. I don't know if I necessarily believe that. However, what prompted this podcast and some of the stories I'm going to share here is that what I found that, at least in my past experiences so far, that when I have been attacked, if you will, by, just what would feel like evil spirits or just craziness, from anxiety attacks to health scares to just those times in your life, you don't forget them, when just bad things seem to happen and you can't figure out why. Almost 100%, that was setting up for something good, meaning God was using that to strengthen me, maybe to realign me, if you will, maybe to get me focused, maybe to bring my health back up, to make me focused and realign on some health things. Every single time that there has been a really tough chapter in my life, from anxiety attacks and cancer and health scares and things with, family and kids, 100% of them, there's been something really good and many times even magical on the back side of that. So I've got a couple of pretty good friends that are going through some really tough, challenging times right now. And I'm not going to share real specific details, but it's everything from health to losing a job to even a marriage issue. So three of the biggest ones out there, right? We got essentially money and health and relationships. Like, those are in my opinion, some of the three biggest things that drive people and what people talk about, what they think about, what they pray about, and what keeps them up at night. So I got three different friends all going through three, pretty severe issues with health, relationships, with a divorce, in the middle of a pretty nasty divorce, and essentially with money, with getting fired from a job abruptly with no real reason, and except just the company wasn't doing well, no severance, just, hey, you've been here forever, sorry, we're closing the doors, and all those just stink. And it's easy for me to say, oh yeah, it's something awesome's on the back end of it. And even when I was going through my toughest times, like the daily anxiety attacks and the health with going through cancer, and heck, I went through a phase where I didn't have a job and I was unemployed for some time. I've been through all three of those, and even relationships. There was a girl that I thought I was going to marry, and we'd even gone out ring shopping, and all of a sudden it kind of fell apart there at the last minute. And I remember the pain of that as well. And yet on the flip side of all of those, some pretty magical things happen, and God really opened up some amazing doors. And quickly, I kind of forgot about all the pain and the suffering and the misery and the complaints and stuff that came with that prior chapter. And so, for any of you going through a tough time right now, or maybe it's a spouse or a kid or grandkid or a friend, know that good is attacked many, many times. And I try to remind everyone who writes me, especially about a lot of the anxiety stuff. I do hear, from someone at least every week who watches that anxiety video or the podcast I put out there. And I always remind them, man, when I was going through that anxiety, it was almost like Satan himself was just up there turning the knob to make me miserable and to make me want to essentially just forget it all. Why does my life matter? And just assume I'm going to be stuck with it for life. Because that's what I started to believe over time. It was 10 years of dealing with anxiety. How would any sane person not feel like, hey, maybe this is just something I'm stuck with? And yet I just refused to believe it. I obviously spent a lot of time in prayer, and I had a lot of people praying for me. And at some point, you have to make that conscious decision, regardless if it's anxiety or just other health issues or losing a job or relationship. You have to at some point make the decision to say, you know what, this is not going to impact me for the rest of my life, that there is going to be some good behind it, that God is in control, right? And when I started really believing that, not just saying that, it's one thing to just say something. It's a whole nother to have faith, right? Faith is to see something that doesn't exist, right? For me to see that my life was going to be anxiety free, that took a lot of faith when I was literally couldn't walk out my door without thinking about it. I literally couldn't do anything that revolved people or going out. I could go outside by myself in like nature, but going out to the grocery stores or malls or airports, I literally couldn't do any of those things without obsessing, not just kind of thinking about the back of my head, but obsessing over anxiety and having a panic attack out in public. So for me to truly believe that God is in control, and there was going to be something magical on the other end of it, and that I was getting attacked because I had something, or God had something really, really special for me, right? Specifically for me on the other side of it. That took a lot of faith, right? To see something that not only doesn't exist right now, but it almost seemed implausible. Like how the heck am I going to go do something? And for me, it was salt strong. If you guys don't know the whole story, I mean, for me, it was salt strong. I mean, even doing this, right? I was attacked so many different ways, even right before doing Unchurched, even when I released the first one, it was almost like Satan himself did not want this Unchurched to be published. I mean, there was countless stories. I've shared them on multiple podcasts, but there were so many little things that happened, from threats. I mean, literally like tons and tons of threats from people. Oh, we're going to come after you and you're going to lose your company, and all this stuff, to all the personal anguish that I put on myself of, man, is this the right thing? Or, are we going to lose the company? Or is everyone going to hate us if we're honest and say that we actually love God and love Jesus, and that we want to use Salt Strong is a little bit of ministry, if you will. And yeah, just thinking back on it, there were so many small little attacks here and there. And prior to that, all the anxiety, I couldn't see myself being a CEO of a company and having to get in front of people and do public speaking. It was crippling to even think about even doing one public speaking thing or getting in front of one group of a team, let alone, now, almost 30 employees and 50, or I guess 60,000, members, and doing these big events like we just had one recently with 900 plus people that showed up. All of those fears were super crippling. But looking forward, because I obviously can, because I've seen it now, looking forward from them, or now, I guess, presently looking in the past, I now see how much I was being attacked. It was almost like Satan knew that I was going to be making a big impact. I mean, look at what we're doing here with Salt Strong. If you're listening to this, I mean, look what we're doing with Unchurched, and the amount of people that came up to me at that 10-year anniversary event to mention that a certain Unchurched podcast had impacted them. I had no idea. Like, I don't get to see who's listening to this. I don't know all the fine details, and it was really, really awesome. It made all of it worthwhile. But more importantly, it was proof that this podcast, that it ain't just me, right? I mean, I pray before every one of these that God speaks through me, that He touches and hits that right person with the right message at the right time. And so I know God has His hand in this, and I just think that's so cool that this is all making an impact. But I'm telling you, there was some forces out there that did not want this to happen, and we're trying to basically put up every roadblock possible. So where I'm going with this is that if you or a friend, grandkid, spouse, whoever, loved one is going through something, remind them or remind yourself that good will be attacked. And that doesn't mean the good that you're doing today. It's something that's probably going to happen tomorrow, or AK in the future. It's happened to me every time. And like, the bigger the attack, it's like, yeah, man, this really stinks. But I think knowing what I know now, and I'm not going through, knock on wood, I got a wood desk right here in front of me. I'm gonna knock hard. I'm not going through that crazy time right now. There's a few little things. I think in any given day, there's stuff going on with with a teenager, let's just say. But we're not going through that just super challenging, chapter in our lives right now. We've been through a couple, and we're in a little bit different scenario today as I'm recording this. But just know when the next thing comes up, or if you're in it, and it will, right? Over time, it's how God uses us to grow. I mean, if you don't have a winter, right, in your life, you're never going to grow. I mean, that's what we have winters. Can imagine it was just summer and hot all the time. Yeah, it seems cool, but you really, I mean, you think about what happened with all the plants and the trees. Like at some point, you have to have a fall, and you have to have the spring, and you have to have the summer, and you have to have the winter. You have to have all 4 seasons for a reason. There's a reason that we have those. And so know that when you do go through that God is in control, that we have to have faith, to see something that doesn't exist. And we have to believe, truly believe, that God has already designed how everything will work out. And when I started truly believing that, like once again, with real faith that God has already designed how everything will work out, well, if that's true, then what am I worried about? If God has already designed how everything will work out, and he's never going to put us in a position or put us through something that he knows we can't handle, why are we so worried? Why can't we have peace? Easier said than done. This is a rhetorical question, because I've been through the tough times, and I know it's tough to have pure peace. But yet every time that I've found myself having faith, and many times, as I've talked about, writing down in a gratitude journal, writing down that you're grateful for something, even the bad stuff. As soon as I started writing down that I was grateful for anxiety, it was like I disarmed it. And it didn't happen overnight. I wish it did. I wish it did for anyone dealing through any kind of fears or issues or whatever, even health stuff. We talked about that, about just having that faith in a few podcasts ago, and writing down that, hey, I am healthy. I am strong. It rarely does it just happen after one time. If it was that easy, you wouldn't even need faith, right? No, it was that consistent writing down the belief that, yeah, you know what, things are going to get better, that I am strong, that I am healthy, that I am not anxious, that I am calm, that I am peace. And when that happens, guess what? You start sleeping better. Things start happening in your life. Things start becoming better. You start looking at life through a glass half full, not half empty, right? Because it's easy to do that. It's so easy when you get into one of those ruts or one of those challenging times when you do feel like you're being attacked. And in many ways you are, where it's easy just to look at everything in a negative light, to say, you know what, man, that glass that's half empty. And at some point, it's your choice, right? I talked about Dan the man many times, my brother in the wheelchair. He's got a choice every single day. He's not once, and he's 40 years old, not once has he woken up and been able to get out of bed by himself. Not once has he been able to put his clothes on. Not once has he been able to go to the bathroom by himself. Not once has he been able to make breakfast for himself. Not once has he been able to even clean up for himself. Not once has he been able to wipe his own behind. I mean, not once has he been able to drive a car. Not once has he been on a date. Not once has he gone to the movies by himself, or any of the things that we all probably take for granted. And yet he wakes up every day with the same choice that we have: is, are we happy or not? Are we going to make the best of it or not? And for somehow, I'm laughing because it is almost a miracle. But Dan the man, he decides to wake up every day with this big old smile on his face, like, man, I'm just lucky to be alive. I'm going to embrace every stinking second I have of it. If we could all just be a little bit more like Dan the man, or maybe it's someone else in your life that's just like that just looks at everything and says, you know what, I'm not going to let this get me down. I'm going to make the best of it. And there is something awesome in here. I don't know what it is yet. I mean, can you imagine literally being in a wheelchair? He's never talked a day in his life, and he never walked a day. All those things that I'm assuming everyone here can probably walk or talk or has in their life. Yet he's never done it once, and he finds just even the smallest bit of awesomeness, and he's just got this peace about him. He sleeps incredibly well. For all of us that have trouble sleeping because of stress-related stuff and all that, the dude don't have it. He goes to bed faster than anyone I've ever met in my life. He got no stress. What would he stress about? He's got everything he needs. But I mean, look, it's ironic, right? That we have all this other stuff, and I'm guessing, maybe I shouldn't assume, but most people here listening to this podcast probably can walk and probably can drive a car and have been on a date and have done a lot of the things that we might take for granted. Been to a grocery store, wiped your own behind, gone to the bathroom by yourself. And yet he's like, man, I got everything I need. Basically, comes down to just having a choice of being happy. So I want to end it here because I don't want to belabor the thing, but I really do believe that if you are being attacked, and if you're not now, you will at some point. I will. We all will. That on the other side of that is where usually the magic happens. On the other side of that is where all the good, or even let's just say great, and the greatness happens. So if you are in that rut, or in that attack zone time of your life, let's just say, where just things aren't working, it's one thing after another, because usually when it rains, it pours, and or just don't even see the end of the tunnel, know that there is something amazing on the other side. And I think when you can start seeing and believing that and having that faith, right, to see something that doesn't exist, and then believing that God is in control, and that there's going to be something amazing on the other end, and that God has this plan. It's just sitting right there on the other side of that door. And it's just a matter of, in the big scheme of things, seconds, fractions of a second before we get past it. And that's when that new breakthrough happens. That's when that new job happens. That's when that new breakthrough in the health happens. That's when the anxiety starts to slowly fade and go away. That's when the confidence increases. That's when you find the next person in your life, or the next job or role, or whatever it is. So don't give up. Man, just God is in control. He has already designed how everything will work out. Don't forget that. Guys, I love you. I hope this hit the right person at the right time. Same thing I pray every single time. And thank you for all the feedback. If this episode or any of them made an impact on you, I do love hearing that. I like hearing, which ones or certain things that you heard. And I've told you before, there's certain times where someone has written me saying, hey, you said this and it made an impact on my life. And I'm like, my first reaction is, I never said that. And then I'll have to go back to the podcast and listen to it. And I'm like, whoa, God, you're pretty wild, because I don't remember even saying that. You somehow spoke that through me. It was nuts. So if there's anything specific, any specific topics, going forward, or if there's something that you're struggling with, as you've heard many times on this is episode 280 or something like that. I don't ever share names or share specifics, and nor will I ever will. But I do try to sometimes come up with episodes based on things I'm hearing from multiple viewers. So if listeners, and even just some of my close friends that we talk and pray, and so if there's prayer requests or certain things you want me to talk about or address, let me know. Joe@saltstrong.com is my private email. No one else reads it. No one ever will. It is completely private and confidential to me only. So love you guys, and I will talk to you on the next episode.
Want more fishing tips, shortcuts, and tools so you can catch more fish per trip? Then head over to saltstrong.com now and join the movement. Tight lines, and thanks for listening.